Hello, everyone. So today is basically another unscripted thoughts of mine that I believe uh, will help you a great deal. Will help everybody that is going to be watching this video a great deal. And I'm looking back to some of the things that I've been able to achieve, and I can attribute it to some of the things I'll be talking about today. And basically, this is my own way of rounding up the leverage series. Of course, even though the last video I mentioned that we are rounding up the leverage series, but I strongly believe that this is going to be a good way to round up this series, and maybe other thoughts will come up anyway. So my name still remains Okpe Oluwaoni. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to this YouTube to this YouTube channel, right? Okay, so or whatever platform you are watching me from, basically. So this leverage is you are leveraging on continuous personal development. If you want to make it big, you want to make it large, you want to make it like never before, you need to leverage on continuous personal development, and that is one area that you really need to pay some serious attention to: continuous personal development. How do we really learn? That's one of the things I really want us to look at. Number one, when we were born, there are things we learn naturally by observation, and I've always believed that the foundation is of every natural behavior is usually the best way to really get them done. Okay, we learn more by observation. Will nobody sit us down to teach us how to walk like our father, to teach us how to speak like our father, to teach us how to write like our father. We just pick them up. These are habits that we pick up. Nobody really sit us down to think like our father or do anything like them, but we naturally pick some of these things up, and we started acting in a particular way, and that's the nature of man. Actually, that's really the nature of man, and that's basically the way we learn. Started learning language, started learning. I mean, some of the most difficult language you can learn it from 0 to 7 years old. In fact, some people said 0 to 12 anyway. So no matter how difficult, how hard those languages are, you can always pick them up and learn them. So we learn by observation. We pick tongues, we pick characters, we pick eating habits, we pick behavior, we pick thought pattern. We pick them up by observation. Then later on we get to go to school. Okay, there's a primary school, depending on which part of the world you are watching from. Basically, there's this first level of school. Some people call them the nursery school. So basically, at that level, all you are taught is the language, or the language of thinking, A to Z, depending for English. Then 0 to 9 for numbers. Okay, so the alphabet and the numbers, you are taught them. You are taught how to join words together. You are taught how to put words together. You are taught all these things. So basically, they are trying. I mean, those teaching process, those process you go through. You are taught rhymes. You are taught singing. You are taught poems. You are taught a whole lot of things. They are basically inculcating the thinking language in us. That's basically what we are taught. And if you look at religion organization, before the formal education that we have right now coming to place too, there's this teaching pattern, there's this thinking pattern that the systems, rather, there's teaching system, thinking system that are being put to place. I mean, in southwest Nigeria, and in the for Islamic religion, they have what we call the Ile-Keus, right? So these are systems and structure that were put in place basically for the purpose of indoctrinating the thinking, the language for thinking, right? So that's the stage, which is more or less like the first stage of the formal way of indoctrination. Permit me to use that word. Okay, then later on we go to secondary school. In secondary school, basically, they bombard us with things, basic way to think. in basic way to think. And you see, the reason why these systems are the way they are right now, because the current education system that we have, most of, especially in Africa, Nigeria, was an education system that was actually developed by the industrialists. And the reason why they developed that educational system was a solution to the problem the industrialists were at there. Because at some point we got to the industrial age, the machine age, in such a way that we need to do mass production of fuel, mass production of car, mass production of a lot of things. Because health got better, people started living longer, right? Wealth, creation of wealth started, I mean, money were available, the monetary system were created in such a way that people become wealthy and all of those things. So there's need for things, gadgets, sophistication, discoveries, and all of those things. So there are need for human being to keep producing those things. And because human nature, before this education system that we have right now, was not trained to have a narrow way of thinking. Yes, it was not trained to have a narrowed way of thinking. It was an open-minded education system that we had there. If your father is a carpenter, you apprentice under your father. Your father teach you carpentry, he teach you how to read, he teach you how to write, and that is all. And you started carpentry, and that's what you do for the rest of your life. Okay, so that's why you see the names like wood, stones, surnames like that. These are things that they do, right? Features and all of those things. You see them a lot in the in the early Germanic states. So where am I going is that, so this system came into place so that we can recruit more laborers. And at that point in time, the way the machine line up, production lineups are the way those are the same way we see that in class, right? The bright one sit in the front, the dull one sit at the back. That's the same way the production line works, and there's always a supervisor, somebody that lives a little bit further than you, but was taught to. Okay, and those are our teachers, right? So that's those two early stages were basically all that we need. At some point, because we needed more supervisors, we entered into the computer age, we needed more still the production line. So the university education was now diluted, because most of the university education were theological schools. Most of the top university of educations were theological schools, thought provoking schools. So in university of the, in the university, we earn BSc and all of those things. And so at your BSc level, so it teach you to think. Now, okay, this is how we have taught you how to think. So we are now going to be giving you what to think about. So they give you specialization, right? So your specialization is banking and finance. So be thinking about banking and finance. Your specialization is finance. We teach you finance. Your specialization is economics. We teach you economics. Your specialization is computer science. We teach you computer science. So that was a stage, right? Then all the reason why you are being taught all of these things and your thoughts are being cheap is because so that you can go ahead and become a supervisor of the low-level workers, right? Those were the initial thoughts. Of course, most of these things have changed. Then the fourth level is the level of you doing your master's, your PhD. And also your master's is at that level. For anybody that has done master's, MBA, is that you now begin to question thinking. That's where innovation really started, and that's actually where real education starts. Because until you start questioning inquisitiveness, which was how the original learning style was, right? Inquisitiveness. Children question things, ask questions. Most of the time they were shut up, and that was what killed the inquisitiveness in them. But by the time you are now like 30, 20 something, 40, you now start your masters, you now start learning how to ask the right questions again. Okay, so that's what you do. So you now question what you think of, question things. So you have the master's level stuff. Okay, then afterwards you now go to your PhD level, which is really the final level. Basically every other thing after that is the repeat of the whole process. Is you now create a new way of thinking. So So basically at the PhD level is to just create a new way of thinking. There's really nothing, I mean, the new way of thinking is still the thinking on the same thing. Okay, so take for instance, how best do we really make car design to be more aerodynamic? Okay, so you are not permitted to change car as a mode of transport. That will be disruptive thinking. Nobody teaches disruptive thinking. But how can you make this car to be more aerodynamic? So it must still have 4 tires. So you are not permitted to remove tires from cars, right? I'm just giving that as an example, okay? So that's what we do at PhD. So if you look at all these 4 processes, the last 2 that really give you the independence to think on your own. So I always tell people education is not a scam. It's just the type of education that you get that is a scam. But there is another type of education, which is the continuous personal development that you must imbibe in yourself, in your family, in your children. It must be in your work culture. And at every point in time, you have to question how you think. Okay, you have to question how you think. Question what feeds your mind. Question, because see, there is always a continuous way of how things feed our mind. I just don't always want my videos to be too long. So I mean, there are so many areas I will have touched on, because the media is actually a tool that was created just the same way the educational system was created, to feed our mind and deposit thoughts in our mind. You see, thoughts can be planted in human beings' mind, whether you believe it or not, but that is the reality. And when thoughts are planted in human beings' mind, it's almost impossible for you to remember them. And when thoughts are planted, it can also be triggered. Those thoughts can be triggered by questions, by songs, by things like that, and you behave in a particular way because you were programmed to behave in that particular way. Okay, so the only way you can overcome that is by continuous learning. So have an independent mind, open mind, continue to learn, question things. So the new way of learning is you learn, unlearn, and relearn. Learn, unlearn, and relearn. And if you implement all of these, I strongly believe that you can leverage education, continuous deep personal development, to create wealth beyond imagination. Okay, so my name still remains Okpe Oluwaole. I hope you've been able to gain 1 or 2 things from this. So that will be all for now. Bye. See you.